everybody.
Good morning.
Happy New Year again. Today's going to be an interesting talk about God's nature is our nature. Because, I think that you automatically just go to, yeah, I'm one with God. But we don't take it that next step down, which is our nature is God's nature. We're it. We are here to be it, to do something with it. And I'm going to respond to this large poster I have on the side of all the qualities of God. But this is really a truth. It's not something that we can ignore. And I'm going to call it, I'll let you decide what you want to call it. But I'm going to use, sometimes when I do my talk, I will, can you hear me? Because I can't hear me at all. Okay, you can hear, I'm not too loud. All right. Is that I use AI. Everybody know what AI is? Now, is AI scary? Abomination? Okay. Could be. It can be. Can be, or it can be a great tool. And so, what I get a talk every time I come up here. There's a talk that's prepared. But the way I look at it is it's information. It's not necessarily what I feel needs to be said. And so I will throw the talk into AI and say, create a talk for me, which I did this time. And it wasn't quite perfect, because I had to go back in and change it and add stuff and so forth. But I said to it this time, which is something I've never done before, and this is one of the things I'm kind of exploring, is I said, create a picture of God's nature as our nature. Wouldn't you know it? This little round thing kept going around, and it created a picture. I was like, oh my God, it created a picture. I didn't really like the picture. So I said, give me another one. Little circle going around. And it created something that was kind of cool. But it seemed fake to me. It didn't seem real. And I said, take that and make it a photograph. You just keep asking it questions and it will create for you. So it created a photograph and I was like, oh my. So you're going to get to see that photograph. Now there's a reason behind all of this, because I want you to realize, and as I start talking more and more about this, that we have tools that Spirit has created, a man, a person, you, me, have created, that we can use to make our lives better. Just like all those words that are up there, those are words to make our life better, but we have to become aware of them. And I'm going to use a lot of different things. Today's about technology. So, can you forward it to the next slide, please? Next one. This is the picture it created. Isn't that something? I was like, oh my. Oh my. Because it depicted, for me anyway, something, God's nature, which is, and as a kid, I always used the light. I always thought of the light as God. So when the light would come through the clouds, I would go, there's God. That's how I related to it back then. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, I'm getting chills now. That's God's light coming at me. It's penetrating me. But I see peace there, I see balance, and I see my full connection with everything. There's no separation in that photograph. Isn't that pretty neat? Yeah. So that's going to stay up there for a little while, for you to just kind of look at it. And as I give you a story, I said to AI, and then I said, well, give me a story about God's nature as my nature. So he gave me a parable. I was like, okay, let's go there. And it starts out like this, and I may read some of this because every little word is pretty cool. It says, once upon a time. Once upon a time, a small village between the rolling hills, there was a skilled potter named Elin. A skilled potter. Elin was known far and wide for creating exquisite clay pots. And each unique crafted with intricate design, so he would create the pot, and then he would do something really special on it. And his pots weren't just functional, they were work of art, symbol of beauty and purpose. So, as Elin would sit by the river, we have the river in the picture, shaping his clay around his hands, he would whisper prayers of gratitude and of the earth's gift that he could use his hands to make these pots. He says his creation reflected not just some craftsmanship, but also his love for his craft and his connection to something greater than himself. I thought that was pretty cool. And so when he sold these, people marveled at him. They said, these are incredible, and they're not just incredible because of how they look, but because of the love you put into them. So one day, like every once-in-a-time story, a wandering inventor came in to the village, and he had this weird machine. They were like, very curious, what is that machine? It was an earlier form of artificial intelligence. And it was capable of making pots. And all he had to do was push a button, and here'd come out a beautiful pot. Perfect, every single time. And so the village got a little nervous. It's like, well, we have Ian over here, and now we have somebody that's making pots. So Ian watched the guy make the pots, and he thought, and he said, there's no competition here. Come with me. Come with me. So Ian and the guy with the machine went off over to the river, and he said, I want you to make the pots for me, because that takes a lot of time. And then once you've made the pot, I want you to give them to me, and I'm going to make the decoration. I'm going to put, between you and I, we will put love into this. And so they combined their work together. And when they stepped back, because this machine could make any kind of pot you wanted, right? But when they stepped back, the villagers went, oh my, this is incredible. You have created something much greater than we ever thought could be. It's kind of neat that you're not competing with each other, but instead, we're taking the technology and the artistry and bringing it all together. So there's a moral of the story. It says AI, like the potter's machine, is a tool. Its power lies not in replacing human intention, but in amplifying it, making it better. And when guided by wisdom, purpose, and a heart attuned to the greater good, all can help humanity craft a world filled with beauty, function, and meaning, just as Elin had done with his pots. So, the thing that I'm trying to get across is that there's a lot of new technology coming out. Let me ask you a question, because I'm going to show you my phone in a minute. How many here have a bad day once in a while? Okay, I do. Or I get bored, or I don't feel 100%. So I have created this nice little technique, and I call it Threads. Anybody using Threads? Do you know what Threads is? It is a version of TikTok, but from Facebook. Now, I don't really do a lot of Facebook, but I do like this. And so what's kind of cool about this, now I'm showing this because I'm showing you a tool that you have in your possession right now that you can use. Oh, come on, please come on. I want the internet here. Oh, here, good. And I want to show you. Now, one of the things that I like, everybody knows I like dogs, right? Dogs and cats. So, in this, come on back, in this, they have images of animals. And so this morning, and I just picked this up. I didn't even know I was going to use this, but they had a video, and I'm going to try and find it. Now, there's some other bad stuff in here too, but the majority of it's pretty good. And it was a picture of dogs and cats coming together. A dog would be sleeping, and the cat would come over and he'd snuggle right into him. Or I was going to show you one. There's one that I saw this morning of, I love it with babies, how people introduce their pets to babies. And the dogs are just like, oh, it's a new toy to play with. You know, they're involved in it. Or the baby will, the one that I saw this morning was a picture of a baby in a bassinet and a puppy that crawled up, and the puppy was over here, and the baby was sleeping with the puppy. It's just adorable. The reason I bring this up is because we sometimes need tools, this is AI in form, to make us feel better. And there's nothing wrong with taking what you have and using it. Now, there's stuff in here that's political, and you know what I do? I go, block. I don't want that in here. I want to feel good. So as I talk about AI and reflect on different aspects of that, think of it as something that can be friendly. It can help you. It can make you feel better. And that, in one way, I think God is an AI. It's the highest form we could ever imagine. And it's about us bringing it all together. I just skipped over a lot of stuff. So I said to AI, okay, give me some quotes based on what I've given you. And I bring this up because I'm going to now link it over to God in a minute. So, gave me 2 quotes, actually gave me like 5 quotes, of which I came back and said, well, who are the authors? This is the weird part. Well, I kind of made that up based on what you said. That's what I got back. I went, oh, okay. Give me some with authors on it then, you know, because I like to tell you who it is. So I'm going to give you 2 that it made. I have to turn it on. Well, that's a good reason to not working. Thank you. And then one that was by somebody we all know. Let me see which one I want. No, that's not what I want. Here we are. So the first 2 AI created. It says, the soul of creation lies not in the machine, but in the hands and the heart that guide it. That's pretty cool. It derived all of that from everything I gave it. And it said, technology is clay. It takes the artist's touch to shape it into something meaningful. And the last one is, technology is nothing. What's important is that you have faith in people, that they're basically good and smart. And if you give them tools, they will do wonderful things with them. Steve Jobs. So even Steve Jobs was ahead of his time in many ways. Yeah. We know that for truth. Now I thought, okay, well, this is kind of okay. I said, but what if God said this? Now, I made this one up. So, here's what God said. The soul of creation lies not in the machine, God, but in the hands and the hearts that guide it. Who are the hands and the heart? Raise your hands and heart. You. You're here to guide that. You're here to do that work in the world. Why do we do that? To make the place a better, everything that we do better. Secondly, technology is clay. It takes the artist's touch to shape it into something meaningful. God's talking to you. It's your job to make it meaningful. It's your job to make it meaningful, not just to yourself, but the world. And then the last one, I love this. Technology is nothing. What's important is that you have faith in people, that they're basically good and smart, and if you give them tools, they'll do wonderful things with them. I should put Ernest Holmes behind there. If we do the right thing, we create wonderful things. Now, the key to this is that we're creating it from our heart. We're allowing Spirit to move through us, in us, and as us to create something. Is anybody doing any creation this year? No? No? Okay, I'm leaving. You all are. You're doing something. It could be as simple. You know, in fact, a little side story, again, it wasn't in my talk. We had a dear friend who passed away this week who was a gentleman that came to our property for over 15 years. And when you met him, you thought he was homeless. You thought he was homeless. And he was a peculiar kind of guy, but he came and he did so many things on our property. And I won't get into the story of his leaving here, but it was kind of tumultuous in a way. And so we decided that because we didn't want to be a part of the tumultuous part, which was mean and nasty and agitating. Instead, we said we would like to bring us together, meaning our renter and her daughter and my family, to just walk around our property and look at all the good that he did. I mean, that's the idea behind this. And in fact, when I talked with his brother, I offered to do a service for him. He said he's a Catholic, so he'll go there. I'm like, okay. It's not about fighting that. It's about saying, great, go for it. But I wanted him to know that we loved him. We cared for him. We provided food for him. And he only wanted $10 an hour, and he worked his butt off. We were gifted, really gifted by something very special. So I'll give you an example of some of the things he did. We have a concrete slab that's no more than a 4x8. He made for our trash cans to be put on. It seems so simple. But you know what? I know where they go every time. It helps people to it brings order. During COVID, him and I painted our house again. It took about 8 months. And he went to the highest place in the house that I was too afraid to go to. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do without Paul? His name's with Paul. We have a fence that was painted, initially. And he didn't care. He just painted that fence again. He planted trees for us. He did so many cool things. Anyway, we're going to honor him because God moves through him, and we will remember him that way. Not the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but for his heart that he gave to us. So, here's the point. Spirit is always there. God is always there every moment if we just look for it. We don't go and try and find it. It's already there. It's, in a moment you can just close your eyes and say, here I am. Here's what's on my heart. Guide me. It's that simple. But there's a law. The law, we call them laws here, where everything is already established. We don't have to go recreate this. We don't have to recreate God coming to us or speaking to or listening to. It's already there. So let me give you an example. In fact, he helped us with our garden. So imagine you're all gardeners, all right? There's what they call the law of nature. Here's the things that are already available. The sunlight, the water, the soul. It's already there. But you have to plant the seed. And you have to plant the seed at the right time, and you have to water it. You have to nurture it until it grows, and it becomes food or whatever. One of my good friends said, when you plant a tomato, it's not an orange. Well, I'm going to go further into that. You don't plant summer crop in winter. Why? Tell me, why? It'll die. And you don't plant winter crop in summer. Why? It'll die. It'll wilt up. You plant it at the right time. That is our work, to plant the seed at the right time. How many people have children? Okay. Don't you plant seeds? And you have to plant them at the right time? It's the same kind of thing. You probably have heard about this. Thomas Edison. Everybody heard about this guy. Gee, there's lights all over the place here. How could we not? But he's asked constantly, and we've heard this quote before. It says, when asked about many failed attempts to create the light bulb, he famously said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. He never looked at what he did as a failure, but how do I make this work? In other words, he understood the law of electricity, and he was consistent. What they say about it? He believed in the power of persistence. One of the things we talk about here is demonstration. I love the word demonstration, although it's kind of scary if you've never heard it before. Is that when we are moving through our life, if we just jump from A to Z, we never know how we got there. We don't. But when we go through A to B to C to D to E to F, G, H, I, and we start to see the demonstration of how God works in our life all the time, guess what? Now we can duplicate it. Now we can move into it, doing it over and over and over. And our, I'll say, confidence in God or the universe or the I am, whatever word you want to call it, is proven. It's proven. You don't have to go out and find it again. You go, oh yeah, I did it. I can do this again. And we start to trust and have faith in it. Holmes writes this. He says, we are chemists in the laboratory of infinite. Oh, wait, that's the second one. Let me give you this. Sorry. We are chemists in the laboratory of infinite. What do we want to create? What he's saying is that we're not separate from spirit or divine. We're not separate in any way, but active participants in its expression. This morning, and you're going to get to hear this when we do a little process, is that Talea was up here playing this beautiful instrument, which I need to learn how to play. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. But you were just creating from whatever. You weren't trying to make anything special, but it sounded, some of you were meditating to it. It was like, wow, that's creation. The same thing. There's another little story. I love this one. It says, this is a story of the sculptor approached by a child who asked how he created such a beautiful elephant out of stone. Remember that? You might have heard this story. The sculptor replied, I simply chipped away everything that is not like the elephant. How simple can that be? So on our journey, we have to remove all those things that are not true about us. All the things that we make up and say, oh, this is who I am. And that truth is, if there's a paragraph, it's probably not true. If it's a word or two, intuitive, it's probably God talking to you. But we have to remind ourselves, I have to do that on occasion. I'm not perfect by any means. In fact, if I don't do it, somebody else will let me know I have to do it. I'll just say that. So I'm going to ask you a question. What do you believe about God? Do you believe that God is love? Yep. If you believe that, means we have to be love. How about, is God's judgmental? If that's true, then what are we living in if we live in judgment? Fear. Fear. Now, there's a difference between judgment and discernment. The thing is that Holmes asks us to take, and I keep using these words because they're so simple, take these things and live them. And maybe you can't do all of them once at a time, but you're going to get to practice in a minute of creating them for 2025. Everybody should have one of these. So let me give you a little story about myself and this idea of God moving through me. I think I've told the part of the story earlier. When I was in high school, my senior year, I decided I wanted to run for an office. You know, they had offices back then with kids in high. They have it now. And so in front of 500 students, I walked up on stage. I don't know if I was even prepared. I don't remember. I think I was just going to wing it. Anyway, I walked up on stage, and when my name was called, I walked up to the stage, and I froze in front of 500 kids. And I froze. And I don't know how long I stood up there, but it felt like a million years. I turned around, and I walked and sat back down. Now, you would think, oh, well, you just get over that, right? No. So when I went to ministerial school, I had to take a class called homiletics. And guess what? Fired back up that story that I had lived forever and ever and ever. And so when I got up there, I think I said, this is what happened to me. So I had some empathy from the audience, which were my peers. Of course, they're not in any judgment at all, right? But I was myself. And anyway, what I ended up doing is telling a story instead of trying to be something I wasn't. And in fact, all I remember is I wasn't up there very long. They let me go, which is a nice feeling. But that was one of my fears, is that I wouldn't be good enough. I wouldn't be good enough. I wasn't a Michael Beckwith. I wasn't a Kathy Hearn. I wasn't any of those people. So through school and through now, 16 years of doing this, let's see, almost 19 years after being ordained, I had to learn something. And what I had to learn was to believe in myself and to stop listening to the paragraphs that were going on. You know what I'm talking about, paragraphs, right? That monkey mind. Stop listening to that. And instead start listening to the intuitive voice that says this, this, and this. So many times, I think you've seen me, I'll walk in here with a bunch of books. You know what? I use lots of books when I'm creating, but something will happen to me on a Saturday night that says, that's not enough. It does. And so I will just go through my library and I would pull. I'll open a page, it's the right thing. Open a page, it's the right thing. Open a page, it's the right thing. And then I will bring them to you. Unplanned. That's because I'm listening to that still small voice within me that says, this needs to be said. Because what I want to offer to you is not something you've heard before. 16 years of giving talks, you would think kind of get boring. But it doesn't, because I'm always looking for the thing I need to know, and hopefully it's something that you can use. So God's nature is my nature. God's nature is your nature. So we're going to do a process. And I want to make sure everybody has something. You should have one of these and a small piece of paper and an envelope. Everybody have a pen. That's the other thing. You guys can do that. Oh, you could, yeah. You will, yeah. But I'd like you to take this home and do it too. Or you can go down and do what we're going to do. So let me make sure everybody has these things. Everybody have it? Everybody got it? Okay. So normally when we do New Year's resolutions, we write out goals, or we write out, in fact, I have to give one to one of the places I work, and I'm thinking, I don't really want to do that. But this is different. This is about the qualities of God. And so you're going to take this home, this piece of paper home. You're not going to do that here. But I want you to take it home and go someplace where it's quiet, where you're not distracted by anything. And I want you to write down what you want to claim for each one of these areas. Okay? It's pretty simple. Now, claim means that you want that. You want that to happen. So abundance. I want to have a new savings account with $500 in it. That would be claiming. That's what I want. And we'll talk more if you need more help, okay? Once you've done that, I want you to fold it up. This is going to be the fun part. Fold it up and put it in the envelope. And then put open December 2025. Ooh. Now, why would I want you to do that? I want you to prove to you that Spirit's moving in your life. And so you can't cheat. You just allow yourself, your wishes, your desires, your claiming, whatever you want to call it, to be a part of who you are. And you move in that direction. So, my question to you now is, will you do that? Where are you going to put it? I have the perfect place if you don't know. Put it in your underwear drawer. Slide it under there. And put on your calendar, open envelope in December. Okay? So everybody agree to that. All right. Now, the second part. The second part is a little piece of paper. Now, I'm going to tell you what this is about, and then we're going to do this. This piece of paper, one of the things that I think happens to us is that we carry things with us. We carry those bad memories of the way we talk to each other. And what I want you to do is to release that. And so this piece of paper is for you to release anything you want to let go of for the coming year. And so we're going to give you a few minutes to do that. Before you do that, though, I have more instructions. So don't write, okay? Once you have done that, I'm going to ask you to fold it into twice. And when you're ready, if you're ready, I'd like you to come up to one of these bowls, and I want you to, before you do that, there's a sign here that says, repeat either to your mind or out loud, I release all that no longer serve me and open myself up to infinite good of the divine. Yeah. All right? And then I want you to put the paper in the water, and there's a spoon for you to stir it, and I want you to see what happens. This is profound. First time I ever did this, I was forgiving somebody for 10 years of, you know what, in my own mind. And after I did it, I was done. It was profound. All right, so they're going to play some background music right now for you to go ahead and write as much as you want on there. And when you're ready, fold it up and come up to the water, and then go back to your seats. Okay. So this is take a couple minutes. For those that are online, what I'm going to encourage you to do is to also take a piece of paper and to do the same thing, but instead you won't have water, is to throw it in the trash. These are for the people that are online. So I'm going to let you do this. While you're doing this, we'll just listen to the music. Write anything that you want to release, let go of, that's been controlling you, making you feel like not very good. Come up anytime if you're completed. Just fold your paper. Read the words. Stir the bowl. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Let's just take a moment to center ourselves. Of knowing that we have released those things that no longer serve us. Whether they're judgment, or people, or situations. Just take a deep breath together, let it out. Let that out. Knowing that this is the work that you have done. And so I invite you to trust this. And turn what you have released now back into wisdom, into love, and creativity, which is who you are, which abides in you and as you. So I'm going to close with a quote. You can keep your eyes closed if you want, and then I will pray us out and just anchor this into our coming year. We shall never encompass God, and yet we shall always be in and of God. Ernest Holmes. So let us carry into our own hearts the truth of who we are. We don't have to go get something, it's already there for us. That Spirit says yes to you, to all the different activities and things that you're doing in your life. Whether that's just getting up in the morning and saying, yes, it's a new day, or whether that's creating something for someone else, or whether that's work, or whether that's using technology, or whether that's loving your home and living on the farm, knowing that this is what you have created and God has said yes to you. It's about knowing that, believing that, holding that, and practicing all of that. And so as I anchor these words into our coming year, I know for each of you that Spirit is guiding you and directing you in all the different aspects of your life. There's no place where God is not. Even in the tears, God is there, saying, yes, release that, let it go, it no longer serves you. And for that I am grateful. I'm grateful for the day and grateful for today that I can stand here and talk to you and hopefully inspire you to know that you are one with an infinite presence as your tool of life. And for that, I'm grateful. I release these words now into the infinite law of God's mind and your mind, knowing it is done here and now. And join me in saying, and so it is.